As you watch his extraordinary performance in Outlander, you might feel like Sam Heughan's an open book. I mean, he does get candid about almost everything, but the man has secrets that you couldn't even begin to imagine. From playing the role of Batman to failing 7 auditions for Game of Thrones, here are some secrets that Sam Heughan fans have no idea about. You're all probably used to him doing a mind-blowing job of portraying Jamie Fraser. But who would have thought? Back in 2012, the actor got to dress up in an all-black costume that everybody could recognize in a second. And yes, this was way before he even got cast in Outlander. But if you're sitting there, racking your brains to remember what movie you saw him in, it's not going to help, because he actually played this role in the Batman live tour. Not only was this play super cool to watch, but there was also a ton of thought behind it. Like the fact that they followed through with Jim Lee's original ideas. The design for Heughan's costume was exactly as it had been portrayed in the comics. Not to mention, he even dyed his hair jet black to complete the Bruce Wayne look.
Putting on the costume is a large part of who Batman is in Batman Live. The costume is quite big.
Now that's the kind of dedication we love to see. I'm sure it's pretty hard to imagine the actor without his signature ginger locks. Everybody's gotten so used to them after 6 whole seasons of the show. But I bet you didn't know that he's not a natural redhead. He was born with blonde hair. And seeing as the man has a history of never hesitating to change his appearance to fit into roles, it's not surprising that he dyed his hair red just to accurately depict Jamie's character. If you're a reader of the books, you'd know that his character from the show looks almost exactly like the character's description. And honestly, nothing brings avid fans more joy than seeing such great adaptations on screen. All of it was thanks to the fact that he kept his hair dyed red throughout the show. I mean, he could have opted for other options like wearing a wig, but he decided to stay true to his role and feel it to his core. So now, if you ever see him sporting blonde hair in interviews between the filming, you'll know why. But his dedication to his roles doesn't just end with modifying appearances. At one point, he even said yes to working with real maggots. This sounds so icky. It's so common for shows and movies to use visual effects for these kinds of things. They could have just gotten away with animating those pesky little things into the scene. But seeing as we're talking about Sam and his absolute dedication to his roles, he probably agreed to have real maggots crawling all over him. It does give you an ick that you simply can't ignore. And back in 2020, the actor agreed that it was quite disgusting to deal with. Still, he talked about the experience with a lot of fascination. Not only did he laugh about how fast the tiny creatures moved, but he also found them super demanding. His co-star Katrina also agreed with him and added that they were a lot noisier than they thought they'd be. And if you can recall, the actor was wearing a prosthetic on which you could see the maggots crawling around. I mean, it was a real sight. Just looking at them instinctively made me want to scratch my skin. On the other hand, Sam managed to stay on the scene the entire time, and he deserves a standing ovation for that bravery. But there's got to be something behind his deeply impressive attitude toward his career. It's because he was raised by a single mother. Whether you knew it or not, the actor was definitely one of the lucky ones. He got to grow up with a mom who cherished him and gave him everything he needed to keep going.
Chrissy is incredible. You know, she's artistic and always encouraged me in whatever career choice I took. And I guess raising 2 boys, single parent was very hard. She's been a great support, and I think she was very pleased when the book came out. I let her read it first.
Even after his father left them both behind very early on. It's pretty sad to think about all the hardships that he had to go through when he was just a little kid. But what's important is that he managed to pull through and make his mom super proud. To this day, the actor talks about his mom with unparalleled love. And seeing the number of times he's made it clear that he isn't really into the dating scene yet, it's safe to assume that he's busy going after his passion, as well as giving time to the mother who raised him almost perfectly. And all thanks to her influence, he never gave up on becoming the best at what he does. But it wasn't as easy as you think. He auditioned 7 times for a role in Game of Thrones. Almost any career starts a bit rocky, and it wasn't any different in his case. He went up to audition for a lot of different roles in the super popular show, but sadly, never made it to the casting stage. Still, while talking about it, he mentioned how he always was this close to getting in. And though that did make him anxious, it was still something to be super proud of. After all, it's one of the largest HBO franchises we're talking about. But if you look at him now, you'd probably be surprised at the producers turning such a talented man down, especially since he got to keep a role in a fantasy series for almost as long as the entire duration of Game of Thrones. Still, the auditions took place a long time ago, and he probably didn't have the expertise that he has now. So, maybe it's kinda understandable. Over time, though, he has truly proved just how capable he is. In the end, it doesn't matter if he got turned down 7 times. What's more important is that he never gave up.
I think I became more experienced. I think I, almost like the playing field, like I began to know who the other players were, whether it's a casting director or a director. I don't know. So then you start to go, okay, I get now what the playing field is.
I mean, he never took the rejection to heart and just kept going. This shows just how far he's willing to go for his passion, and also that he's passionate about a lot of other things, like being an ambassador for his country. If you guys were thinking about just how Scottish his personality is, it's probably not a coincidence. He truly does own up to his homeland and loves it enough to be representing it internationally. In fact, he's actually quite enthusiastic about the political happenings in Scotland because he was super vocal about his support for his country's independence from the United Kingdom back in 2014. So you can all probably just tell how proud he is to belong to his homeland. And this pride is accompanied by the fact that he loves wearing the kilt. Since it's their national dress, the actor couldn't help but talk about just how liberating it feels for him to wear it on different occasions.
This is how I do it on the show.
Yeah, tuck it in.
Up, tuck it in. Right. And on the other side as well, and there.
Not just that, but he finds them super comfortable as well. You're probably thinking about how excited he must be to be able to wear kilts in Outlander all the time. And you're right. He expressed that it makes him happy, to the extent that he even came up with the idea for a documentary titled Men in Kilts. Alongside Graham, who's also his co-star in Outlander, he embarks on adventures within his homeland.
I cannot believe that this was your idea of a good time.
And he shows everybody just how culturally rich and beautiful that place is. I think it's quite adorable he wants everybody to see his country with the same love he does.
The origination of the Highland Games would come from the clan.
This land tells a story of its people.
Thank you for having us, Captain.
But that's all the secrets we've got about Sam Heughan. See you in the next video.